think it's fitting for me to give some type of introduction for you.
Go.
How long have we known each other? Like 10 years?
Yeah, at least.
And we were, what, cubicle partners for 3 of those?
Well, more than that, because, like, property, we were, before you moved to our major crimes, we were in property together.
All right, so we've worked together for 5 or 6 years. Actually shared
We were at orientation together. We just didn't know it, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We're hired the same day.
I guess my point is we've shared a lot of long nights, early mornings, sleepless, sleep deprivation, all that good stuff.
Correct.
So this last podcast I did, this is really going to sum up our relationship, I think. Last podcast I did with Ranger Smitty. Vince does an awesome video. First time I did video for the podcast.
Right.
Something I was really proud of.
Right.
I thought it was a great conversation, the whole 9. I send it to you.
Yes.
And I'm really proud of it. It's something that I was like, man, this is like really going to take off now.
I know where this is going.
And what do you say? Not like, hey, dude, great job, Gene. I'm really proud of you. It was, man, that you look really small in the beginning. That's what you said. And that was it. You never said
constructive criticism.
Yeah. My arms are small.
I'm working on this with my, my home life, right? Trying to be more supportive and
Yeah, well, you failed.
Pointing out the positive things before the negative. And
You didn't do that, though.
like assertive communication, right? Trying to.
Yeah. But that's kind of, sums us up, I guess. You have to give some type of background for people because you do have like an interesting, like me, I started in policing when I was 18, so you did not.
I did not.
Can you give people some semblance of your background?
So, my dad was in law enforcement, still is, I guess. So it's kind of law enforcement's always been in my life. But I went to culinary school. Got a degree from Johnson and Wales University up in Providence. My family had a famous crab restaurant in the city, and I was like, I'm going to go be a cook.
Did you get fat before or after being a cook?
Before, during, and after. How's that? So I'm going to go, be a chef, learn the restaurant business, reopen the restaurant. And after about 3 years, I was like, man, this is a terrible life.
Why?
The real world chef, it's not what's on TV. It's not the Food Network. It is 12 to 14 hour days, 6 days a week.
What's the pay like?
Not good. Not good unless you're a business owner.
Right.
Right. And
is that how it goes a lot of times? Like a chef will open a restaurant?
If they're dedicated and good enough.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But it's, once you become an owner, then it's a 24-hour-a-day job. I mean, if your dishwasher doesn't show up to work, you're back there washing dishes. You know, it's a lot of responsibility. So as I got older, I just realized, cooking was not conducive to having a family or that life, which I think when I was younger, I was like, I have 4 brothers, number 2 of 5. So I think when I grew up, I was like, I do not want kids. I want to, travel, go work on a cruise ship or something. And then as you get older, you kind of change. Like, you know what? Maybe I do want a family. And I just couldn't see that happening with the cooking world.
I mean, so were you like you weren't a head chef, were you? Or
no.
Oh, okay.
No, went through school, went down on an internship down in Georgia, stayed there a little bit longer, and kept working. Kind of got homesick a little bit, and I was like, ready to come home. Got a job at a local gym, and kept going to school down in Delaware.
What gym?
Hocassin Athletic Club.
Oh, that's right. You worked at the front desk.
At the front desk.
Yeah. That's how you developed your people skills.
Correct. People skills. Well,
yeah.
And then kind of in the middle of that, I started working at a bank in customer service, sales, and I got some people skills from there as well.
So we recently did certified instructor school together.
We did.
What did you think about that? The training itself.
One of the best trainings that I've had.
Absolutely.
At the agency. Yeah,
I got a lot of shit for it because I hadn't, I should have had that course.
You should have.
5 years ago.
Yes,
it was just one of those things I kept putting off and putting off. However,
right.
I'm glad I took it when I did.
Why is that?
Because I was the only sergeant in the room, right? I was the only supervisor.
Right.
And I felt like I had to perform at a higher level because I felt like there was more expectation for me to do well. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I couldn't just go in there and just.
Did I put that pressure on you? Is that something you put on yourself?
I think I put it on myself.
Because nobody else would probably care, but I definitely held you to a higher standard.
Yeah, no, I know. And I appreciate that. Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think I definitely held myself to that standard, I think. But you being in there definitely had something to do with it too. And JP teaching it,
Yeah.
that was another one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I can't go in there and shit the bed. You know what I mean?
I do. JP was my primary FTO. So I kind of felt a little, not that I really cared, but
Yeah.
I guess I could feel some kind of pressure. Don't want to let him down.
You got uncomfortable a couple of times, right?
Oh, absolutely.
During the what, do you get a
lie
random
thing.
word or whatever?
The lie thing. Like, what was it? You had to like debate about what thing was better or worse.
Oh, the debate.
And yeah, I was like, I could not say
My
that.
debate was, it was me and Hamilton, and it was like women are the superior species or something like that. I don't know.
Well, yeah.
And I just,
Well, they are.
my whole talking point was that women can give birth and men can't. I just rolled with it. I don't know who's going to argue that, really.
You know, you were talking about the lemon storm, one of your presentations, and that came up last night.
No, because I bailed somebody out. Somebody was giving a presentation and they were stalling. And I like raised my hand and started talking about lemons.
Is that, yeah, okay, that's what it is, right, the detox thing. So that's why it now comes up in my house all the time, right? Because every time I make lemon water, I say I'm detoxifying myself right
true.
now. And then my wife gets mad because I told her how you said, there's no such thing. Your liver does that for you. So
I say it's not true, but that I haven't really done extensive research. I haven't read peer-reviewed journal articles on whether lemons actually have a detoxifying effect.
why would lemons have a detoxifying effect?
I don't know. Somebody probably had a really good business strategy once, and they started talking about lemons detoxifying people. I have no idea. There's got to be some truth to it, right?
Fair enough.
So I'm assuming is Bonnie on board with it being a detoxifying thing?
No, she pretty much listens to whatever I say. If I give her a reason why something
Yeah.
is or isn't accurate, she'll.
That's how I've gotten by with most of my life. I know like a couple facts about a lot of things. You know what I mean? That gets you through the door. A lot of people, and most people won't challenge you after that. So,
A BS artist.
yeah. Why did you get into policing, other than your dad being a cop?
So I still think I didn't know what I wanted to do after I came back and realized I didn't want to get into cooking, and then I got into the whole bank thing, and that was kind of cool. But I was sitting behind a cubicle, and I like numbers, and that was fun. But
Let's talk about the bank thing. Totally going to go off on different tirades here.
all right, well, yeah, go for it.
Because you gave your presentation as certified instructor about why you should not pay your home off early, right?
Yeah,
Right. And you had me convinced of that, and then we went and sold our house.
exactly.
Right.
In a matter of 2 weeks, I changed your whole life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you haven't sold it yet. We had an inspection coming up on Friday.
Okay, that's good. Are you worried about anything with the
No.
inspection?
I'm not changing anything.
You've already made that clear with there's no reason to right now with the way
No.
the market is.
Absolutely not. Listen, if there's some minor things here and there that maybe, I don't know, but I can't see what would possibly be wrong with our house. We've been living there the last 7 years. You know what I mean? We haven't had any problems. Is the water pressure not great sometimes? Maybe.
Probably shouldn't say that right now
Right.
if your buyers are going to be watching.
Nah, this isn't going to come out till after the inspection. So
Oh, okay. All right.
they'll find out. Yeah, talk to me about the banking world, because again, I have no experience in that whatsoever. But your father-in-law is
My father-in-law is a doctorate of finance. Taught for almost 40 years at St. Joe's up in Philly. And when my wife and I got married, and he just kind of slowly kind of made his way in, kind of told me more about investing. And I found out probably recently, I mean, he still has a mortgage on his house. I mean, he's 70 some years old and still has a mortgage. And we started talking about it. I thought he would have paid it off, and basically, the difference is that he's making and investing the money versus paying it off is more beneficial. And me being a numbers guy, started doing the math, and wow, looking at different funds and investing, and over long-term investments, it typically is a better bet to invest the money versus using your extra money to pay down your house.
What about the argument that if I pay my home off early and I pay off all my debt, who's Ramsey? Is his name Ramsey? The
Dave
guy
Ramsey.
who's real?
Yep.
Oh, I sent you that video.
Yep.
It was an old video, and that was a good point you brought up. But what about the argument that if you pay off all your debt, by the time you're 45, then you don't need this exorbitant amount of money. You know what I mean? Because you don't have any bills. So
when we're talking about it, you want to look at it in a plan, whereas typically your mortgage that you're getting is a 30-year mortgage for the average person these days. So when you're comparing what options to go with, you want to look at a 30-year plan of either investing that money or paying off the home and where you would be financially at the end of that 30 years.
Yeah.
But everyone's individual. And just a disclaimer, if anyone's listening to this, I'm not telling you not to pay off your house or I'm not a financial advisor by any means. I'm just saying that with that course in particular, I talked to you recently about your financial plans, and somebody that I was interviewing for that project was telling me that their plan was to pay their house off early. And I was like, a lot of people, they don't realize the financial benefits to investing and the real benefits of the really low interest rates that we're seeing right now. So I wanted to throw some numbers together just to give people a different perspective, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of different reasons why you may pay your house off early or not. Income guarantee, people work on commission if they have a really good year versus when they don't. That might be a reason to pay your home off. But for the police officer who we're probably going to have a pretty stable income for the next 30 years, it generally speaking is not going to be more beneficial to pay your home off early. And like I said to you, and you turn around and went and talked to your wife about it, the average person buys a new home or refinances every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, we just hit that 7-year mark.
That's where you're at.
Yeah. I knew that you were going to forget this. You keep hitting that wire, and I'm either going to allow you to keep doing it, or I'm going to lose my mind later when I have to edit this.
I'm Italian. Do you know how hard it is for me to control what I'm doing with my
Do it like
hands?
that. That's fine. How long were you in banking?
Oh, God.
What were you actually doing, though? Were you
I
doing
started
mortgages?
Yes. Well, I went over to mortgages probably like 6 months into it. Started out with just this is an entry-level position with a national bank with savings products, and then I went over and learned about mortgages and was doing mortgage sales.
Were you selling mortgages at the time of the whatever that?
No, shortly after the subprime mortgage crisis in 2008. 29 to 2011. It was really just a job for me to hold until I was able to become a police officer. I just felt like I needed more experience in the corporate world or the job world before I went into law enforcement. I didn't want to just go from being a front desk guy at a gym and a culinary school guy.
Yes, there's starter jobs.
Right.
How old were you when you applied with the county?
21 my first time, and then I was 23 when I got
What are you,
hired.
32 now?
I'll be 33 next month.
Oh, okay. We're a year apart. Talk to me about the academy. What did you think of our academy?
What did I think about our academy?
That's something somebody does when they don't know the answer to something, and then they just repeat the question.
As I've learned in this profession.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't know the answer to it. It's that
It's a
who is going to
complicated-
be watching this later, and am I worried
you
about
can
whether
say whatever
or
you
not
want.
I offend them?
Yeah. This is a very small show. You have no worries.
Our academy is great in many ways. I was definitely more physically fit coming out of it than I went into it. The defensive tactics were very good. I learned a lot about use of force and the things that'll keep you alive in the profession.
This is such a political answer.
It is, but I'm getting to the negatives. Sure. I didn't know what an arrest warrant was or how to write an arrest warrant when I got out of our academy. And there are some flaws with it. I think we're probably, if I'm comparing us to other agencies in the academies in the state, I think we're definitely the best, especially talking with other officers from other law enforcement agencies.
Yeah.
But I would probably change some things about the way in which, we run our academy.
Yeah, I just talked to one of our rookies, and he actually had a good recommendation about doing like ride-alongs kind of throughout the academy. They teach you these things. It probably would be nice to see it in action. You know what I mean? You know who did that? MSP did that. I remember. It wasn't throughout. It was towards the end, but I did 2 ride-alongs.
I think that would be very beneficial.
It was like 2 months before graduation, and then a couple of weeks before graduation.
With our academy, I felt like It was 27, 28 weeks long, right? You're there for
Yeah.
a while. And it was high stress from the first week till like the 25th week.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain things that you need to learn and that are better learned when you're not under stress.
Yeah.
And there is a very big integral part of stress, obviously, in this job. And I agree with that. The academy needs to put that stress on you to prepare you and to maybe weed out people who probably aren't the best fit for the profession, right?
Yeah, but I don't even think our academy does that very well. And listen, I always bring everything back to MSP it was just different with MSP. And I know, listen, times are different. You can't get the same applicants anymore, but people were quitting every day for the first 4 months. You know what I mean? And they didn't care. And I'm not saying that's a good or bad thing. I don't know if that's good or bad, but I can tell you this, the crew that we had that graduated at the end, that was a pretty squared away group. You know what I mean? Like, and we went through some shit together, and you always hear horror stories of people kind of getting like pushed to the academy kind of thing. And that's just, not the greatest thing in the world.
I feel like we could do a better job of front loading our stress and putting the not so important curriculum probably in that time. And then the important stuff, maybe in the second half of the academy, after you figured out, okay, these people probably, they're going to be good for the profession. They're going to know how to take the steps, going forward. So change up the curriculum so that maybe some of the more important things, case law, search and seizure, all the paperwork stuff that becomes, I know I touched the wire.
It's okay. I think what I might do in the future is put like an electrical shock mechanism on there.
That's a really good idea. Like a dog collar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'm in the middle of conversation.
Any funny academy stories? Who were you close with in the academy?
Well, I lived around the corner from Brian Testa.
Oh yeah, Testa's
so
awesome.
we carpooled. Kelly Bowen lived in Ellesmere, so the three of us typically carpooled.
Yep.
Testa and Bowen are the ones that come to mind who I was closest with because we carpooled. That was like suggested. I feel like
what, carpooling?
Yeah.
Maybe it was a camaraderie building thing or a team building thing?
I don't know. It's kind of like, hey, we don't want to have a million cars in the parking lot, so anybody who can carpool, you need to carpool.
Yeah.
It's kind of where they, pressure you into it in the beginning, and we probably could have tapered off, but we just stuck with it throughout pretty much the whole academy.
That was one good thing about MSP's academy. It was residential.
Right.
You lived there Monday through Friday. I didn't stay that many weekends. Same thing with our academy. You get demerits for things. If you got 10 demerits, you had to stay the weekend. There was usually a crew of us, like 8 to 10, that had to stay the weekend kind of thing, but it made things easier.
Did you always get 8 to 10 demerits?
For the most part, yeah. I stayed quite a few weekends, actually. I remember one time coming back from breakfast. So you would PT in the morning, go to breakfast, go back to your dorms for a room inspection, and all of my belongings from my car were just strewn about the parking lot. And it was me and a few other guys. And then there was just the DIs kind of standing around it. And I remember that sinking feeling, being like, well, you're an idiot because you didn't lock your car. And they gave me 30 seconds to see if I could gather everything up and get it back. There was no way I could do it. But I got 10 demerits for that.
Do you think that they need to have X amount of people on the weekends?
No.
No.
That was, I think they were teaching me a lesson, a valuable lesson. Because look at what...
Do you think you were singled out because you were a young single guy without a family and they needed people there on the weekend? So they're like, all right, we know Gene's not doing anything.
No, they were probably like, this guy's an idiot. I bet he left his car unlocked. And then I did. And the lesson is, don't leave your car unlocked, because if you're a police officer and somebody steals your police car or the things you have in it, you know what I mean? So I didn't mind staying the weekends, though, because of that.
Okay.
Yeah, I was single. I had nobody to go home to. They didn't feed you on the weekends. Like, there was no staff there. So they did have really good food, very good food there, but you only had a certain amount of time to eat. You know what I mean? Like, if you were last in line, everybody was done eating. Once that first guy was done eating, everybody was done eating. You know what I mean? So if there's 70 people in the class and you're the last guy in line, you might get a couple minutes to eat, kind of thing.
Do you think you're scaring away people from wanting to get into law enforcement talking about this?
No, I think the people who want to be in law enforcement now, that's hilarious. You're really struggling with that.
didn't touch it. I'm more cognizant of it now.
I think the people who want to be in law enforcement now, I don't think that would scare them away. Mm-hmm. If the societal pressures that are in place right now aren't scaring them away, then no, I don't think so. And also, I think generally speaking, the people who, what is it called, like type A personalities that get involved in law enforcement, people who like to be in leadership positions and enjoy structure and all that kind of stuff. I mean, no, I don't think that would scare them away. I don't know that MSP's Academy is still that way. I would think it is. Mm-hmm. The only thing they changed after our class left, and there was 2 or 3 classes after, but was the sleep requirements. I think they have to get 5 or 6 hours in a row now.
And they should.
Yeah, they really should. I mean, they used to do a fun thing of you go to bed and then they would roll a trash can down the hallway every 2 hours, and you would get up, go PT for 7 minutes or whatever it was.
Like,
but by that time,
for the instructor's sleep, like all the things we're finding out about sleep now, and stress and cortisol.
Let's talk about sleep.
Yeah.
Why is it that first responder like professions just totally like they almost embrace sleep deprivation? Like, are there any other careers? Yeah, embrace it. Like, it's just totally accepted that, like, you are going.
It's the standard.
I know, but why? That's my thing. Is like, why is that? Like, are there other professions or careers that do that?
Healthcare.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. You know, hospital's got to be awake. Truck drivers, but even them, they have sleep requirements now. Those troopers pull you over; they'll check your logbook to see how long you were sleeping.
That's true. I thought you said drunk drivers.
Sometimes I mumble and don't speak so clearly.
Yeah. But there was many times, right, that we would call it out, work a case for whatever, I don't know, 17 hours straight. And then it's like, all right, go home and get a couple hours of sleep.
Which is like...
But I guess you have to, right? Because, like, things got to happen.
Well, it's the first 48 hours, right?
Yeah.
You know, the show is real. When people always ask me on the street, like, oh, you know, is it really like NCIS or whatever? I'm like, no, it's nothing like NCIS. It is like the first 48, where you've got to do everything you can in those first couple days, because if you don't get a substantial lead or develop all the evidence that you can while it's still there in those first couple days, you don't get another chance at it.
Yep.
You know, that scene, that first day, like that's your one and only chance for the most part to get everything you can, and then things start changing. So,
why do you think you enjoyed so much? Because you enjoyed investigating way more than I did.
I do.
I enjoyed it for a short period of time. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I am glad I had that experience, but I was ready to move on. Like, I was just ready for a new thing. But you still seem to, you were very passionate about it.
I think growing up with 4 brothers is very competitive. I always liked sports, but I was like the Rudy playing, you know,
dude,
the short fat kid. Who
my mom hates that movie. I love it. I love that movie. I know.
I just think it's a competitiveness to it, and well, you know, most of the victims that you deal with, what we say, true victim versus not, and
yeah, that
doesn't matter, right? I just want to be. I want to get the guy, you know, it's a competitive drive. And I think that's the hardest part with, you know, major crimes and homicides is dealing with the uncooperative people. Right?
Yeah, that is very frustrating.
I got a homicide a couple weeks ago and half a dozen people out there and nobody wants to tell me what's going on. I think it's why I really like burglaries, because you typically don't know who your suspect is, and people that you talk to are normally going to cooperate and help you solve it. So I think it's just a competitive, to answer your question. It's all about competition and competition with myself and others, right? You.
Dude, you were way better than
you know, Jeff.
Yeah, but you were so much better than, I mean, like when I had a homicide, you solved the one I have coming up for trial. Like that would have never got solved if you didn't come up with an idea.
It's a team.
Yeah, but you're the leader of the team. But I enjoyed, like I knew, like listen, my thing was writing search warrants. You know what I mean? That was, I enjoyed, hey, give me just all the facts of the case and let me just be artfully describe this. You know what I mean? And that's what I really enjoyed. I don't think you shared that as much. But
I do. I mean, I got stuck on the one case. I got stuck being a search warrant guy, and I think I did like 30 Superior Court search warrants.
That's not what we call it. It's the search warrant bitch.
Yes, the search. I was, you know, and if we could, if it was,
you can say whatever you want.
Yes, I was the search warrant bitch on a high profile case, and I got to do like 30 some search warrants, all Superior Court warrants. They were like 30 pages long by the end of it.
Yep.
So I got good at it. I recently had a prosecutor tell me that a defense attorney reached out to him and said that they had nothing that they could try and suppress.
Yeah, that's not true.
I'm just telling you what the defense attorney relayed to the prosecutor, that they were really good search warrants. Maybe that's from following you and seeing how you write yours.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Probably not, but
yeah, I definitely, if I had to get the choice, am I writing the search warrants or am I going to sit in the box with somebody? I'd probably rather sit in the box with somebody.
Yep. One of the first big interviews I had when I first came up, it was a high profile case in property. Believe it, I know it doesn't happen that often. You've had several, and I kind of just went out like cowboy style and just didn't tell anybody what I was doing, and brought a suspect back to HQ, and it was like a big deal because everybody's like, "What are you doing, dude?" Like, we were planning on doing X, Y, and Z and whatever. So I'm in there interviewing them, just doing an awful job because I had no idea what I was doing. And John Williamson came in and basically took over the interview, but in a good way. It wasn't in like I had taken a break. So you guys
do a dual interview?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I was a young kid in there, and I had taken a break, and he was just like, "Hey, do you want me to help you out?" kind of thing. And I was like, "Yes, please." Like I'm drowning here. And he got the kid to confess.
I'm at that.
Yeah. Usually frowned upon to do that.
Did he write a report?
No.
Oh.
I wonder what he's doing now.
I heard he's out of state. His wife's in education or something. He was
down like Texas, North Carolina or something.
I think they're moving all around for it. He's a good cop.
Fantastic. Batman voice. He's famous for that. We had so much fun when we were up in detectives.
Oh, I still do. Maybe not as much.
Do you guys still have really deep conversations on your nights? Well, you guys work a different shift now.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
You probably have more deeper conversations because of the shift, because the human body, I mean, from 10 to midnight, I mean, you're being productive. It's more difficult. So, now we're working till midnight on evening shifts. So it's typing and report wise, definitely more difficult to be productive. So
I think that
end up talking and shooting the shit more later at night.
Yeah, you couldn't have said that more like a robot. Shooting the shit.
Shooting up the shit.
Shooting the shit. Now that you're right, from those hours of 10 to 12, you're kind of like drained by them. But doesn't that kind of speak to the fact that is it a 10-hour shift?
Yes.
And you're expected to work for those 10 hours, right? But it's like, if I can get my work done in 4 hours, that's why I almost envy like salary positions, because I would usually work quickly.
Yep.
And then, dude, do you remember that time we had the investigators meeting?
And you said your plate was clean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here I am, new detective. I did a lot of dumb stuff as a new detective. New detective. How often are the investigator meetings? Once a week? More or less. And that time it was kind of new. So more or less like forced to talk about something. Right. And I really didn't have anything. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was going in that meeting. It was Rob Ellis, who had just got done talking about something. And I was like, you know what? I've solved all my shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to help out this detective.
You were just being honest.
I was just being honest. And you would have thought I farted in church or something. There was just an awkward silence. And then I just got shit on for a while for that.
Things could be worse.
I think my direct quote was, hey, my plate's pretty clean. I'm actually going to help out Detective Ellis with his whatever. I don't know if he appreciated that or not, but I remember now Captain O'Sullivan turned around and looked at me and gave me a stare, and I was like, whoops.
She wasn't even in detectives, and she knew that was wrong.
No. Yeah, everybody kept putting like robberies on my desk and stuff for a while. Like,
hey, it probably pushed you along into major crimes quicker.
It might have. Does the same like jockeying still happen? I'm kind of out of the loop up there now, but like where there's going to be an opening in like family services or major crimes and people are jockeying for those positions?
I am the wrong person to ask for that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, you're at the end game now.
That's right.
Is there still that kind of hierarchy? Where do you put property versus family services? Do you think they're equal?
Property is superior.
Why? Because you were never in family services.
No.
Nor was I. But
No, because you don't know who your suspect is in property. It takes more work.
don't you think it's more work to get a guy? That was very like sexist of me to say, a guy to get a suspect to confess to like diddling a kid.
Is it more rewarding? Yes.
Yeah.
Is it make you a better investigator? Right? Because there's a lot of investigative steps that you have to take in property to get to that interview, to get the person to confess. Is it maybe a more difficult interview in family services? Yes. But the kid typically tells you, yeah, it's my uncle who's diddling me. It's, I saw a guy touching himself out at the basketball court.
Right.
I mean, whereas in property, it's, I came home from work, my window's broken, and all my stuff is missing. Find my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to even get to that interview, you've got to do a lot of stuff normally.
Yeah.
And get lucky. So I think making a better investigator and all around making yourself better, probably property. I'm not saying that it's not a fruitful experience to go over to family services and,
Yeah, you can backtrack. That's cool.
and learn how to do that. That's not backtracking. We tell them all that. I mean, I have a difficult time doing it because I have young kids, and I would have a tough time sitting across the table, with those kinds of people, and not letting my emotions show.
Yeah.
Like I always say, I'd grab that person's head and slam their face into the counter, but obviously I wouldn't do that.
Sure.
But you're sitting across tables from some very disturbed individuals, where typically with property crimes, you're dealing with people suffering from addiction, kids, or people just need money.
Yeah.
Which is an easier interview, I guess.
Yeah, those were the main, right, when you were interviewing somebody, was, right, drug addiction, money, trying to help your kids.
Right.
Make it seem like it's okay.
To get someone to sit there and tell you that they just, raped a kid, yeah, that's a lot tougher.
Yeah, part of that, though, is making them feel like it's okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's a hard thing to, that's a very difficult thing to do. Why are you trying to get promoted? That's like your next step, right?
Yeah. I guess I kind of, you got me into running, and I remember one day you tell me.
That's hilarious, by the way, because I despise running. I really do. I do it, but I just don't like it.
You're right. I enjoy it, actually. It's like therapy for me now.
Hey, Rusty Chambers hit me up the other day while we were working and said, hey, can you send me a video or something about running on your toes, not running on your toes, like 4-foot running, as opposed to heel to toe. Because we talked about that.
You want mid strike.
We talked about that in Certified Instructor.
Yeah. Shorten your stride.
But he's like, I'm pretty sure I'm not doing it right, because he's like, I feel like I'm prancing. So,
well, you ever told me, just shorten your stride.
Shorten your stride.
And I still don't do it. I still do heel to toe. I know it, because I'll start feeling my hamstring getting tight and twinging and all that. But whatever. And I don't stretch enough. But anyway, you asked a question. Promotion. So anyway, you don't run with music.
No.
You're like a serial killer.
Yep, deep in my own thoughts.
So you'll be out on a marathon by yourself, not running with any music or entertainment.
Correct.
Counting steps and crap like that.
Correct.
I tried to emulate that and do that a few times. So every once in a while, I won't, or I'll forget it, or my battery dies. So I'm like really weird, right? I'll be out there running and my mind starts racing, right? Because I don't want to think about how much this sucks, or, how much longer I have to go. And my mind starts wandering crazy, right? Like I'll be running down the road and, there's a side street and I'm like, all right, if I come around this corner, there's carjacking going on. Like, am I going to get involved? Am I going to intervene? Am I just going to be a good witness? Like I'll try and plan stuff out ahead, things like that. And it was probably last year, or the year before, I was out running, and this is really morbid or whatever, but it's true.
Yeah.
I started thinking, like, if one of my loved ones was murdered, what investigator would I want to investigate? And the first thing that came to my mind was myself.
Right, exactly.
Right? Like I want to, but obviously I can't do that. It's a conflict of interest. So all the people that I was thinking about were supervisors. I was like, It's like I really have a responsibility now with what I've learned and what I've experienced.
Yep.
To pass that on.
Yeah.
And it's not, yes, I can do it now, and I can to a certain extent, but it's not the same as being a supervisor and being able to impact an officer at a younger age. I think I benefited greatly from having good supervisors when I was young on the job.
Yeah.
And I hope I get the opportunity to, pass that on to some other officers.
I think that's what a lot of people mess up when they start down the, listen, I'm brand new to the supervisor world, trust me. But from what I've seen, I think something a lot of people mess up is they think they should be promoted because they're a great investigator or because they're great at something. And nobody cares. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
All that matters is how well can you pass that information along to other people.
Yep.
That is such a big delineation there between people who really get it and people who just maybe don't understand it yet.
Yeah.
Right? Because Dave DiNardo gets promoted as a sergeant and he's a great investigator. Cool story.
Right.
Like,
what are you going to do with it now, buddy?
Who's investigating? Like, are you passing the information along? Do you know how to throttle the information you're giving to officers with different experiences? Like, are you going to talk to the 1-year guy the same as the 11-year guy? Do you even know, like, are you going to engage in conversation with them so you understand what their current level is and like what they want to do? There's a lot that goes into it.
Yep.
And it's tiring.
Mentally exhausting. Got it.
Yeah. I want to go back to running real quick because you make me sound like just like an awful person for not running with the music. But you talked about the mind racing.
Yeah.
That's my meditation. The whole purpose of meditation is to like zero your thoughts out, right?
Yeah.
Not think about
what
nothing.
What does zeroing your thoughts mean?
I just don't allow my mind to race. And if it does, I just let it. And I don't try to like control it. I just let it go.
Okay.
So when I'm thinking about,
so you don't try to let it race.
No, I don't even entertain it. I just let it do its thing, and eventually it comes back to like homeostasis, where it's just like we're just thinking about breathing. You know what I mean? Or we're just chilling. I really try. There are some days are easier than others.
So when my mind races, should I be calming it down, saying, "Yo, unfuck yourself, get back to just doing nothing"?
Just let it go. It's wandering for a reason. Let it go.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. Let it go wherever it wants to go. Isn't that funny that we talk about our brains and minds as if they're different from ourselves?
It's my mind.
I know, but you're talking about it as if it's some other entity. It's not. It's you.
Right.
It's Dave DiNardo. Like it's not like this other thing. But no, that's what I do. It's much easier for me to do while I'm running than when I'm walking. I'll go for really long walks, usually on like a rest day.
Right.
And my mind races more when I'm walking.
Huh.
I don't know why that is.
Probably because it's less stress on your body and
yeah,
your brain can think of other things other than keeping your legs moving and your heart beating and breathing. But I'm just completely making that up.
Yeah, the music thing came about for me because, not that you asked this, but I was just thinking about it. I think I got used to running with music for a really long time. And then I didn't have it on a few occasions, and I was just like a wreck. You know what I mean? It was just not the same. My mind was racing and all this stuff. I was like, ugh. Like, sometimes like I worked out this morning, just lifting. I will listen to music when I'm lifting, but sometimes I don't. It's like a treat.
It's a treat.
It is.
Reward yourself. So,
I see TV as like a reward for me. Yeah. I was having a conversation with my mom a few days ago, and I was saying how did this come about? I can't remember how it came about. I was saying how I think it's very important to manufacture stress in your own life and put yourself in like those really difficult situations so that when life throws stress at you,
you're prepared.
You've done things on your own that are so much more difficult that like who cares?
I can only imagine your mom's response.
We had differing opinions on it, to say the least. She's had a rough go, though. You know what I mean? Like, she's had breast cancer, and she's had, like, life has thrown her some pretty shitty hands. You know what I mean? So it was funny because we were talking about exercise, and she grew up on a farm where actually, like, going to the gym
Didn't
was
exist.
like, what?
Your exercise was
Going and
doing the work,
taking care of the horses and like going out and doing all that kind of stuff. So that was an interesting perspective because I gravitate towards going to the gym pretty early, even though I grew up on a farm, but my parents kind of did a lot of that manual labor stuff. Do you still like manufacture stress now? Like, do you consciously do that?
I'm trying to think of an example.
Well, you run. I know you run, but do you think of that as like
No, like I told you, I said earlier, like running is like therapy for me at this point.
Yeah.
Like I'm a cortisol junkie. I think you gave me that term. Even when I'm not supposed to be running, like I am too much, too fast.
Yeah, your heart rate's 190 beats per minute.
Regularly.
Which is insane. Maybe not, though. Maybe for Dave DiNardo, that's normal, though. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah.
I am starting to, like, come down on my pedestal on some things and be like, well, people are different.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I kind of look at sometimes I get nervous. I look at my watch. I'm like, my body wouldn't let me do it if it was that bad, right?
That's not true at all.
Great. Great.
No, your body can, our bodies are really great at adapting. It doesn't mean that it's adapting like for the right reasons, Like take policing, for example. So I was just talking to somebody at jiu-jitsu this morning about it, where policing is stressful, right? I get it.
Yep.
It does become less stressful, though, I feel like the longer you're out on the road for a lot of people, but that doesn't mean that's okay. It just means that your body's developing these coping mechanisms that may be good or bad. So you may not feel the same stress, but that's just your body being this amazing organism that can, help itself out more or less. But that doesn't mean it's okay, right? So your body will do things just to survive. It doesn't mean that it's, in the long run, a great thing
for you.
Correct.
Your life expectancy is still like 66 years old.
Yeah, I'm using a study for my paper that I'm writing for school, and I don't know how true this is, but I mean they did the study on it. Life expectancy is like 21 years shorter, I think, than the general population, which I guess you'd be about right, about 66.
Yeah, 70. And what are we at? 78 for general population?
Probably, yeah, somewhere around there.
Nuts. 20 years less for doing this job.
But I look at myself like I feel like I don't fit in that mold. Like I really seriously proactively attack my stress and or whatever.
I'd be
longevity.
I can't wait to see some of the statistics in the next 10 to 15 years with that, because obviously smoking and drinking and everything was really predominant stress release for the profession, and I don't know that that's necessarily, maybe drinking still, but
yeah, drinking definitely.
I don't see the same amount of people smoking.
But I don't even know that the issue is cortisol. The issue is having elevated levels of cortisol in your body for extended periods of time. And you know how your body deals with that? Inflammation.
Right.
Your body has a great system. It's awesome. It just, inflammation is not a bad thing. That's your body trying to fix itself.
Right.
The problem is your body has almost an endless supply of cortisol. It can just keep pumping that cortisol out.
Right.
And your body's always going to be inflamed. And things they don't last as long when they're constantly inflamed. So I don't know that.
So I should stop running at such a
no
high level. No, because my body probably adapts and doesn't release as much cortisol, right?
Yeah, but you look at a guy like Ranger Smitty, who's doing, or David Goggins, or these guys who run a lot. You know what I mean? I don't know that.
Do some research on that cortisol and running, right? Like if I run 6 miles 5 days a week at a high heart rate level, like it's fun.
I don't know. You want to talk about stress though? Like I'm just thinking, like I went to jiu-jitsu this morning.
I'm not doing it.
I know you're not. This is the whole entire purpose of this is actually an intervention, and I want to get you to come to jiu-jitsu.
I know it.
But I worked out this morning, right? So I lifted for an hour. That stress I place upon my body, that my body will get inflamed and it'll repair itself and blah, blah. That's awesome. Then I went to jiu-jitsu where I got, strangled for an hour, basically. Not really, but.
Did you get knocked out and tap out at all?
No. Oh, yeah, I tapped out several times. So I don't pass out. But that's extremely stressful. Like, I'm getting better at going like full-blown panic mode when I'm in jiu-jitsu now because I have some semblance of what I'm doing. Panic mode. Dave, I can't express to you. Guys who know, and girls who know how to do jiu-jitsu can put an insane amount of pressure on your body, like on your chest, and restrict your breathing, right? And they can shove their shoulder in your neck in a way, and then you can't move, and then you almost get like claustrophobic. And it's just like...
It's kind of like when I got maced in the academy.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
I had like a panic attack.
Yeah, panic attack.
Like
you can have a panic
attack. I couldn't breathe and
right.
was losing my shit on.
Yeah, you can have a panic attack in jiu-jitsu for sure.
Yeah.
Guys will tap to pressure, it's called. It's frowned upon because nothing really bad is actually happening to you. Yeah, your breathing's restricted, and you just lose it. You know what I mean? Brian Grant has got me close to doing that on several occasions, but I'm conscious enough of it to be like,
how do you get out of it?
I don't know how to get out of it. There are things called like sweeps and escapes in jiu-jitsu. Listen, I'm an idiot in jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't know. I know a few things, but so do they. You know what I mean? So you roll a guy like Brian Grant, who's almost a purple belt, which means he's been training for a lot of years and he's very talented. That's more or less what that means. He knows my limited knowledge, right? And he knows probably what I'm thinking before I'm thinking it. You know what I mean? So, yeah, there's ways to get out of it, but not if the other person knows. Does that make sense? You know who was at jiu-jitsu this morning? Was your mentee, Kevin Sine.
Oh, yeah? How's it going?
Great. He's been going for 2 months now.
Yeah?
Yeah. He's going to be really good. I don't know if he was a wrestler or not. I don't think, no, he wasn't a wrestler, but he's very good at like scrambling.
I hope he becomes a good cop.
I think jiu-jitsu will make him a better cop.
Think so?
Yeah.
What are the mental benefits, or, you know, what besides obviously the physical defensive tactics stuff?
It makes life easier.
How?
Because the situations you're put in jiu-jitsu, especially early on, teach you to like relax. Because you can do what's called spazzing. A lot of white belts, like when they first start out, they're called like they spaz out because they just freak out and they don't know what to do. Jiu-jitsu teaches you to like chill the fuck out and actually think about what you're doing. Because you know how we learn in the academy and even now on the road, you lose your fine motor skills like when shit hits the fan.
Stress response.
Yeah. That's why it's important to always like draw your taser under stressful situations and, you know, all that kind of stuff. Same thing in jiu-jitsu. There's very complex movements in jiu-jitsu that require you to actually do some higher order thinking. You can't do that higher order thinking until you chill the fuck out. You know what I mean? So I think that, for me personally, that's what I've gotten so far. Because I've been in situations in jiu-jitsu that are far more difficult than anything I've ever had to do before.
Where do you see yourself going with this whole jiu-jitsu?
I'm going to go till the wheels fall off.
How long have you been doing it now?
3.5 months, 3.5, 4 months.
And what does the wheels fall off mean?
Like my wife, Abby said it today. She's like, what are you going to be 70 and like rolling around on the mats? I was like,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, probably. So our head guy, Billy Shaw, I think he's 42, 43, black belt. He's been a black belt for like 2 years. I don't know. Like, I don't want to say that my goal is to become a black belt. It's not, because I could go buy a black belt. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it's cheating.
right. That's what I mean. So like, yeah, that's what I mean. I think getting your black belt in a timely manner is like 10 years of consistent training.
So are there tests for each belt you got to do? Or like, what's the proficiency with
my understanding of every gym's different, but my understanding of at Billy's gym is he is a very good gauge of what your ability level is. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain things, like, I think what it means to be a blue belt, which is the next belt after white belt. Blue belt means if an untrained person like gets into a grappling situation with you, you'll be able to control them. That's pretty much what that means. Whether they're big or small, or, you know what I mean? As long as you're not 300 pounds and you're 100 pounds, you know, for the most part.
Physical characteristics.
Yeah. But I roll with Billy every so often, so he's very good at understanding, you know, what level you're at. So, yeah, listen, if it takes me 15, I don't know how long it takes. I'm just going to keep doing it.
Is that the goal, black belt? Or are there degrees?
No, I just want to
karate when I was like third
I want to
grade.
be proficient enough so I can actually like teach other people.
There you go.
You know, so yeah, would that be a brown belt, black belt? Yeah, sure. But I think it's a very valuable skill. I think people get the wrong idea, because I joke around and say, I just went and got strangled for an hour. There's a lot more to it than that. It's body positioning and strangle. Actually,
We
like
do a little bit in the academy. I mean,
yeah, and chokes and strangles are such a small part of it.
I don't think when you did that, it was always the
arm bars and
like you straddle you on top, and then you gotta like
you're in the mounted position.
Mounted, yeah.
Yeah, which is really one of the worst spots you can be in,
right?
Especially if somebody's like throwing strikes at you,
right? So it's like how to get out of it and protect
why won't
yourself.
you do it? Personal space thing?
Yeah, I'm just not in the. sweaty, rolling around business right now. You know,
There's literally no
mats.
So you're not okay with another guy's ear just like dragging across your face?
No. Like, I'm not. I'm past that stage, right? Like, I had to.
No, you're
wrestle
not.
with Raph
You're
in the
32
academy.
years old. Yeah, Raph is a giant man.
He's a very sweaty giant man.
Yeah.
It's just kind of. I don't know. I don't need it anymore.
I would disagree with you.
I think I can get the. What am I saying? I have no idea what kind of situation I could find myself in with this job. Obviously, where it would benefit me, but I don't foresee myself as needing those skills right now. And that's probably really silly to say.
Stupid. That's one of the dumbest things you've said in a long time.
But I can get benefits in other training, I guess, that I don't have to roll around naked with you.
Well, we're definitely not naked, Dave.
Loose clothing, sweating, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
I'll get there. I'll convince you.
and there's a cost too, right?
Really no, because Billy is an affiliate with Adopt-A-Cop. Adopt-A-Cop is a nationwide program that pays for cops to do jiu-jitsu.
Can they pay for me to do like CrossFit or like regular gym?
Why don't you just do jiu-jitsu? But long story short, so Cine is training under them.
Yeah.
Well, he's training under Billy at the Riverfront. But Adopt-A-Cop, you just go train once a week and post it on social media. Billy charges Kevin $50 a month, and Adopt-A-Cop pays Kevin $50 a month, so it all equals out. So he doesn't have to pay anything, and you go as many times as you want. You don't have to just go one day a week.
Mm-hmm.
You can go, dude. There's guys at our gym. They don't have kids that I know of, but they'll go 10, 12 times a week. You know what I mean? Like twice a day, and a couple of them are paramedics and stuff. So what's your, like, running is your stress relief, right? Therapy, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. I get it. Do you have a goal with your like fitness right now? Like at one point in time,
4-hour marathon.
Yeah.
Still. I've done 2 marathons and
didn't get 4 hours.
Correct.
Why?
Preparation, probably.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, both my marathons I stuck to my training program pretty well. The first one was just my first, and I hit that 19 miles, and I was cramping like crazy. It was just bad news bears, and I was like,
I don't think it's a physical thing with you. I think it's a nutrition thing.
You're right. So I cramped like crazy with that one, and got it out. It was like 436 or 437.
Yeah.
The second one, we talked about it, and you're like, you need more sodium. Like 5 miles into it, I pulled something. Second one. But I was taking the salt pills. I was doing more nutrition. I was being cognizant of taking the goos. And even after I pulled my hamstring, I probably like 2 miles after that, I was like walking, slow jogging, and then I just kind of kept going, and it felt better. I was like 418 or something. And those were pretty bad weather conditions too with that one.
Why do you think you pulled your hamstring?
So I wanted to be with a pacing group, the 4-hour pacing group.
Yep.
And it was a Philadelphia marathon. It was cold, raining, and there was like 10,000 people at that thing. So when you get up there and you're looking for the pacing group, normally they're holding a sign up. I couldn't find them. I'm back there thinking I'm in the area where the 4-hour people would be. Mm-hmm. And race starts, and right before the race starts, they put their little thing up, and I'm nowhere near them.
Right.
I was way too far back. I was like, oh crap. So the first couple miles I spent, you're really crammed up tight in those big races.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And my pace was really slow because I'm back there with all these people. You've got people who are doing like 12-minute miles up in like the 8-minute mile per section.
Yeah.
And they're just falling back in front of you.
Yeah. You're giving them elbows and
the
stuff.
tight city streets of Philadelphia where they keep, you keep turning. So I was probably like what did I say? 3 to 5 miles in, and I was striding. I was running faster, trying to catch up to the 4-hour group. Yep. And I like jumped off a curb. My stride was too wide, and I was like, oh God. Hamstring kind of popped, and it felt like a cramp. Like,
Yeah.
but I knew I wasn't cramping yet, and
you probably had never even considered training for that.
no,
In the sense of like,
I had the bad cramps with the first marathon I did. That was about 8 months before that.
no, I just mean like
But-
throwing your pace off.
Oh yeah,
You know how you set
that
out?
whole
Yep.
first couple miles, everyone crammed together. The city streets, the potholes. It was raining,
Yeah.
snowing. It was in November, and I just remember like avoiding potholes, jumping over potholes, like with a really wide stride off the curbs, trying to get around people. And I hadn't even considered that when I was
I
trying.
remember I did that with swimming. I got some good advice when I was doing the triathlon stuff. With swimming, they were saying like, say you want a 2 minute per 100-yard pace, right? That's a pretty typical pace. They were saying like, don't just get in the water and swim at 2 minutes per 100 yards. Like get in there and sprint for the first 100 yards to get just throw everything off and then see if you can get your body into that. It'd be similar to running, you know what I mean? Like sometimes now, I don't run long distance now, but if I'm going to go out and do 4 miles, I don't know, 2 miles in, maybe I'll just go sprint and or slow down or just keep mixing things up. Because you're right, that you're never going to be able to run your 8:30 pace or whatever it is. What's a 4-hour marathon? What pace is that?
I think it's like 9:05.
Oh, okay.
9:07, 9:05, something like that.
Are you signed up for another race?
So COVID messed me up. I was doing well.
Good excuse.
I know. Well, messed me up with the training programs and
Why?
stuff.
You can't run outside?
No, I still ran. I mean, I did fall off it's been busier than normal than it was.
I love it. Yeah.
At work, right? And I had a baby. I'm making all kinds of excuses. This is terrible. But the race that I'd signed up for got deferred.
That's right.
Got canceled. They pushed it back to this April, and then last minute they're like, "Oh, hey, just kidding. We're not going to do it till November now because of COVID." So the race has been pushed back for like 20 months that I had signed up for and already paid, and they wouldn't give me a refund. Right? If they give me the refund, I'm pretty cheap. If you haven't
Yeah.
caught the idea yet, but if they give me a refund, then I would have just taken and found another race. But I already paid like $180 or something, so they were like, "Oh, you can defer it," but then they kept pushing the race back. So it's supposed to be in November. I was kind of kicking around whether I want to do a 20-week or a 16-week plan. 20 weeks will put me starting in the next month or so.
Yeah.
So we'll say probably.
Why don't you just go do a 4-hour marathon? Why do you need a sponsored race? What's important to you about like it actually being like a official race?
There's nothing. There's absolutely nothing other than I feel like if I'm chasing somebody, I'm probably going to be better off.
That's a good point.
When you're just out there fighting yourself, it's tougher.
Well, yes and no. I think it's harder on like race days because there's so many factors. Like you got to show up early. You know what I mean? There's adrenaline you got to deal with, and then you got stuff that you were just talking about where like you never know what's going to happen. So I think sometimes it's easier to just go do it yourself.
Yeah.
You control the whole thing if you're just doing it by yourself.
Like on 5Ks, like I'll go outside and I'll run a 5K and I'll be like, 25 minutes.
Yeah, it's because it's a
then-
5K, Dave.
I understand that. So, but then I go do a race and it's like 22 minutes, right? Because I'm chasing somebody.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm running.
Yeah, well, I would question your inner drive then.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
Um,
Why can't you push yourself to that
I don't
next
know.
level?
There's probably a psychology behind it that I'm not versed in or educated in, but I'm sure there's a reason why.
Because when you're by yourself, nobody else knows.
Right. It's easier to cheat.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I do that. I still do that with workouts. Like, you know how typical CrossFit workouts are, say, hey, you're going to do 10 rounds of whatever, pull-ups, push-ups, and overhead squats or something. My brain does this thing every time. Not every time. When I get to the halfway point, say I'm at round 5, my brain always does this thing. It's like, man, why don't you just do 8 rounds instead of 10? Mm-hmm. I, always get past that point, but yeah, there's definitely a psychological response.
I will never cheat like on those. Like Jeff Sendek will send out like a workout.
Yeah.
And a couple of guys up there will do it. I have nothing to prove with CrossFit, right? I'm just doing it for shits and giggles.
Yep.
I'll do all the reps, do all of however long it takes me. I already know I'm doing the half-ass because I can't do legit pull-ups because I'm too fat. So I already know it's weak sauce, but I'm just doing it. But with running, it seems like even if I'm not like when you're running for 4 hours, I may be like I talked about, my brain wanders, and next thing I know, I look down my watch and my pace is off. I'm not like intentionally trying to run slower or faster. Just something is happening that I'm not focused on, and then I lose pace.
Yeah.
So I think it's easier when you're surrounded by 1,000 other runners, you know, trying to keep up with the guy in front of you to hit that mark that hopefully I will hit this year.
Yeah, pace is tough, right? Because me personally, I prefer running or swimming, biking, whatever, based off like feel. Like, how's this making me feel? And I'm usually pretty close, but some days my body just doesn't have it. You know what I mean? And it might be a 9:30-minute pace that day instead of the 8:40 I wanted. But pacing is very important. If you are trying to get quicker and faster, I do get that. But you do any sprinting or anything?
Normally, the past couple times that I've done the training programs, I work in the Yasso intervals.
Yasso?
Yeah, what do they call them? Like the
Yasso
no 800s or whatever. And I don't
think that's a real thing.
It really is. Look it up. Maybe I'm messed up the
like 800-meter repeats. Like
I'll do 800 meters at a like a sprint pace or a higher pace.
Yeah,
and then I'll walk for like a quarter mile, get my heart rate back down, and then do it again for like 10 rounds.
How do you think policing has changed you? You've been in it for 10 years now. And really, that's a silly question because you're way too close to the situation to probably, unless you've done some deep diving. I mean, like physically, psychologically.
It's made me more cynical.
Well, yeah. That's it? You did pretty good for 10 years.
No, I mean, physically, God, my weight's gone up and down so many times.
And that's always interesting to me because you are a smart guy and you know that. You know what I mean? That's the challenging part.
I'm also an Italian guy who loves pasta.
Yeah.
Loves to eat. I like my sweets. And I do all the wrong things for weight loss, right? Like I know I eat bad, so I will discipline myself and go run, you know, which I know you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
I lack discipline with my diet, right? And like I'll put on my training plan, I'm gonna run 8 miles this Sunday. I'll wake up, you know, if the family situation is weird, I'll wake up at 3:00 in the morning and go run my 8 miles, but I can't put down the fork.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, because I've seen you like at HQ like real early sometimes.
Yeah. I typically on day work come in 4:00 in the morning, 4:30, whatever, and try to get my workouts in just because it's tough with family life and everything to try and get those in.
Yeah.
How's policing? So it's definitely made me more cynical. Definitely had an effect on me physically. I don't know, like, I don't know if it's just life and where we're at or if it's the job, but like, I don't want to talk to people anymore.
Yeah, I totally get that.
You know, like, I don't even want to pick up the phone to call to order a pizza. I don't want to talk to you. It's sad, like, you know.
No.
Like, I won't call my grandfather, hey, how's it going? I haven't talked to you in a while. Nothing against my grandfather. I love my grandfather. But like I was saying about the other, like, hey, I haven't talked to my grandfather in a while. Maybe I should call him. And then, like, I get anxiety about thinking about talking to him.
Yep.
And I'm like, is that a job thing or is that...
Dude, I have the exact same thing with my grandma. I never even thought about it until you just said that.
What do you think it is?
I don't know. And
do you think it's a job then?
It's got to be because that's not a coincidence. I don't know why that is, but I get anxiety with that for sure. Do you have like anxiety is such a weird word, isn't it? Like everybody has anxiety to certain degrees or whatever, but I guess it's only an issue unless it impedes on your day-to-day life, right? But me, like with the job, I think it's intensified my anxiety, but I just do other things.
You just ignore it. You hide from it.
Yeah. And I just constantly stay busy. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't know how that's going to work out, 20 years or whatever, but.
As long as your wife is supportive and is okay with it, that's all that matters, right?
She is. She's very supportive. But again, I don't know if that's a bad thing, right? I acknowledge I have anxiety in certain situations give me anxiety, but I mean, I think I'm a pretty fully functioning individual.
So shouldn't you confront that anxiety instead of hide from it?
I don't know that I hide from it though. Like I put myself in positions
So like,
that cause
you know
me
what, you
anxiety.
start thinking, you know what, I should call my grandmother. But instead of doing that, because it gives you anxiety, you start vacuuming.
Yeah.
You start doing the dishes or
Mm-hmm.
cleaning something that really you vacuumed yesterday. Like, it's okay. You didn't make a spill, but you start doing it because you don't want to do what your mind is telling you should do.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm.
Don't you think it'd be more beneficial? Like, you know what? Pick up the phone.
Yep.
I mean,
And it's only going to be a 5-minute conversation. I did just see her at my sister's.
how's she doing?
Great. She's doing fine. My sister's kid had his 3rd birthday. This is good times. Good times. Her other son broke his leg jumping around. He's got like not infant, I don't know. Fractured his shin. So he's got like a full leg cast for the next 3 weeks.
That's awesome. Right, summertime.
Oh, I feel bad because he has a twin brother. So there's 3 of them. And, imagine a almost 2-year-old with a full leg cast.
It's my daughter's first birthday. We had the party yesterday.
Yeah. I saw pictures online. She looks
She looks like me.
yeah, she
I
looks,
said it to my wife and offended her the other day.
mm.
I just came upstairs. She was in the bathtub. I was like, huh, she looks like me.
Well, who's Ryan look like?
Ryan looks like Ryan, I guess.
Yeah, right.
I guess I could see some of myself in there, but she probably looks a little more like my wife.
Yeah, I miss our FaceTime conversations we used to have. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I really did enjoy that.
Now she FaceTimes me and asks to see Teresa.
Why?
I don't know. Because Teresa will take her and run around the office and do dumb things.
Oh, wow, on FaceTime?
Right.
Yeah.
Entertain her in a way that her father doesn't, I guess.
I don't know. Isn't it funny how FaceTimes, like, because my daughter FaceTimes my parents all the time. Mm-hmm. She's on FaceTime once a day sometimes, you know what I mean? So that's just going to be the new, that's all she knows. It's going to be interesting. Like, she knows how to manipulate a cell phone. She's not even 2 yet. Mm-hmm. But we didn't,
I didn't have it.
Yeah, it's not like we give her a cell phone, but she sees us using it, and she knows exactly, like, how to swipe and do all that kind of stuff.
I wonder how that's going to happen for society moving forward. What's going to, what are the consequences of that?
I think actually having face-to-face conversations and people communicating, like, via the spoken word is going to be less of a norm. I think texting, and I was just listening to a conversation the other day about how emojis are the most, advanced form of language. Because you can speak any language, but if you send somebody a couple emojis, it doesn't matter what language they speak, they're probably going to understand generally what you're saying. You know what I mean?
The crying face, yeah.
Yep. Whatever. Yeah.
My wife sends me that one all the time.
Yeah. Do her emojis match her physically? Like, did she change them?
I guess so. She doesn't have like that one that's like you can make to look like
Bitmoji, I think it's called.
Yeah, I don't think she has that one.
Yeah.
We still do that. It's just the little girl thing. I don't know. The purple.
I fully recognize we totally skipped over really getting into what has changed you with policing and all, but I think you had something with a talking point though, because I couldn't, like when people who are not involved in policing, like my family, nobody in my family, I have a cousin who's involved in policing, but other than that, so your dad was involved in the policing, but, my family's very nice and they do ask sometimes like, hey, how's work going? And sometimes it's just like, fine. Like,
generic answer.
Like,
it's great.
because there's so much that has to be unpacked to even answer that question. The emotions, the, sleep deprivation from working midnights and just dealing with the public. I think it's being a problem solver for everybody else, right? Because that really is what policing is. Policing is just you solve other people's problems.
That's right.
Things have escalated to a point where they cannot handle it themselves, so they call for help, and that's what we're there for. But that is very emotionally draining.
Sure is.
And even my wife, like when I come home sometimes, trust me, I'm really trying to get better at it, explaining like actually how the day was. Because some days are totally fine. Mm-hmm. It's like I barely did anything today. You know what I mean? Like I approve reports, especially as a supervisor now, like I'm not going to every call for service, but there are days when it's just like, I don't.
And what do you say to her?
On what?
Bad day. How do you explain it?
I usually go through why it was, the actual situation that happened. You know what I mean? And because she's a normal person, sometimes she'll cry. You know what I mean? Because it's like she's a normal person, and I'm just like,
what are you crying for?
Cynical. I guess cynical is right. I'm numb to it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So I'm just like, yeah, this is exactly what happened, and this is how we dealt with it, and blah blah blah. But then she feels bad for expressing her emotions. I'm like, no,
it's okay.
You're the good one. Like,
I'm the serial killer. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But I don't. I don't know, because I think even in policing, expressing emotion is frowned upon. Right? I mean, we're getting better with it. In just with the health initiatives that we have with the county, like the thing that Nick Heitzman and I are trying to get off the ground, the peer support stuff, and all that. But to outwardly talk about that kind of stuff is challenging. But I don't know why, because we all experience it.
I'm thinking of an example. I mean, a couple weeks ago, we were all sitting around upstairs and just talking about different things that were probably like the most traumatic, like most messed up things we've seen.
Yeah.
And it was probably our own version of peer support without any education or training.
That's exactly what it was.
It wasn't you or Nick Heitzman, right? It was just a bunch of was talking about like a messed up surveillance video that I had to watch one time. And, Mackie had a couple homicides that were caught on video and audio, and it's like, really painful to watch. Left you with a certain feeling in your stomach. So, I think we've gotten, and maybe I don't know if it's the profession in general, but I mean, I think definitely we've gotten pretty good, or at least there's no stigma. I mean, I don't really feel uncomfortable talking to anyone.
I think it's probably because that group you were in, like, you're fortunate to have a pretty tight knit group up there to where you guys can do that. I think it becomes worrisome when, and I can have conversations with just about anybody for the most part, and I'm pretty open about talking about emotions and all that stuff. But I think the fear is when you have the loners out there who are just kind of not in that tight knit group or whatever.
They don't have a click. So
they don't have a click.
As your supervisor now, you're wondering, is that person okay? What are they?
Dude, listen, me personally, I park up with one-on-one with my people all the time, and we have like deep conversations, and I think they appreciate it. It usually starts with me opening up about something like, hey, this is really not bother me, but wasn't this fucked up from the other day, or whatever the case may be, Yeah, I think maybe policing is turning a corner.
It's society too. I mean, mental health is at the forefront of just about everything.
Yeah, it's such a buzzword now.
It is, and it stinks that it's often used as an excuse now too.
It is,
and that's unfortunately what happens with these, because there is definitely issues that we could do better at, but there seems like the cynicism in me coming out. I mean, you see it so much with lawyers and whatnot now, how mental health gets used as a inappropriate defense.
The problem with mental health is this: it's an injury. Like, it can't, no, mental health is just a general thing. Right. You can have great mental health, but if you start having mental health issues, right, you're suffering an injury of the brain, right? Things are getting rewired up there, and things just aren't, you're secreting certain hormones when you shouldn't be, because your body's just trying to adjust to a traumatic event or whatever. The issue is this: nobody can see that. You know what I mean? You didn't break your arm, you didn't break your leg. Nobody can see what's going on inside of you. Mm-hmm. The other issue is what will impact you in a negative way may not impact me. So you and I go on a baby death, and I'm just like, okay, that's awful. Really sad to see that happen. And it hits a chord with you.
Right. I see my daughter's face on that
baby.
Yes,
correct. Where now you're just like a totally different version of yourself. Now, who knows what trajectory that will take. That's the issue. Then the other issue is you have people that would take advantage of that. Mm-hmm. Like, if PTSD became a recognized injury to where you could get, workers' comp and you could retire, whatever the case may be. The problem would be, how do you measure it? Is there a blood test you can do? No. Like, you would have to take that person's word for it that they're actually experiencing these things.
And when I'm talking about like people using excuse, it's not even, I'm not even on that level, right? Like
Yeah.
I was interviewing a witness last week for a homicide, and he was telling me he didn't feel comfortable talking with me because he had mental health issues. I said, I'm sorry to hear that. What are your issues? And
Yeah.
he made it seem like he couldn't understand, what was going on because of his mental health issues. What are your mental health issues? So I'm ADHD. Okay. So am I.
Yeah.
So it's just about everybody I work with.
Right.
Is there something else here? Like, is there something that I've not explained to you appropriately that
Right.
is leaning this? Like that you said you have mental health problems. You're telling me you have ADHD. Like most people do have some sort of ADHD. So we can get on with what you witnessed. I'm sorry it was traumatic. Let's hear it. And it's a shame.
And I'm sure I'm sure every generation says this, where like, this generation coming up is soft. You know what I mean? But I do think that. I mean, I do think I don't know, like I definitely see like my dad's generation, I think they were tougher in a sense. Like they did have to go through more things.
Mm-hmm.
Now I had great parents, so I was involved in sports growing up and learned hard
Is your
work.
dad a boomer?
I don't know what the definition of that is. He's
42 to 62.
Yeah. Yep.
1942, 62,
Yeah.
I think. The baby boomers.
Yeah. What's with the baby boomers?
I'm just trying to correlate like softness to what generation,
Yeah.
as we're talking about millennials and Gen Z. What are we up to now? Is it
I don't even know.
Gen X, Gen Z? I don't know, but
Well, we're
after
millennials, you and I.
Yeah.
And millennials really get
I think we're getting better because they're seeing how talk about soft or snowflake-ish, the Gen Z or whatever the next one is. The 90s, 2000s babies.
Maybe it's just that the next generation is like really embracing technology, which is the wave of the future.
Mm-hmm.
And we see that as like, oh, you can't even have a conversation with somebody? Like, what the fuck's wrong with you?
After we just got done talking about how we can't have conversations with people. How ironic.
Yeah. How do we get better at that?
By being
just like
diligent and planning and saying, I'm going to do this, right? Like, I know this is a weakness. And
no, but what about the feeling of like, I just couldn't be bothered to, I'm not talking about calling my grandmom. I'm talking about like, you go to ShopRite and Nancy like wants to engage in a conversation with you. And it's like, I literally just don't want to talk to you right now. You know
why
what I mean?
is it that you don't want to talk to Nancy?
Because I'm tired and I just like am emotionally drained, especially if like I just got done midnights or something. Like I just had to deal with the world's problems for 11 hours and I just don't want to engage with you as a person.
So how do you reprogram your...
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
If that's
Do I just fake it and then engage in a conversation with Nancy until what makes her happy? I don't know.
Potentially. But is it about making her happy? Is that the goal? Do you really care if Nancy's happy? Do you care if yourself's happy?
No, I actually do care about making other people happy.
Okay.
Yeah. Which we had this conversation because we're selling our house and part of that is there's a little karma involved there about doing something nice for like a younger couple.
Karma.
And you're just like, you're a fucking idiot.
You can do something nice for her and still do what's best for you.
Do you think karma is a real thing?
Sure.
That was just convincing. It's good.
Because there are things that happen that are unexplainable, right?
What does karma mean to you?
Come back to get you. If you do unto others as you've had done to you, goes around, comes around, right? I'm just throwing a whole bunch of cliches out
that was
there.
like three different quotes.
You think that you're going to get some sort of benefit by helping these people now in the long run.
Doesn't that negate the whole purpose of doing, like, should you only do things that are nice for people because you will get something for it?
No.
That's what you just said, isn't it?
But that's what you're explaining. That for people who don't know, Gene has allowed people to view his house and purchase it before it ever hitting the market. And the real estate market is crazy right now where people are buying things at 10, 20% above list price. And he said, I'm going to be a good person and I'm just going to let a family friend come in and buy this house at my list price. when he could have allowed them to have the option to match whatever offer he got, because that would be the true market value of his house. But Gene just wants to be a nice guy. Why? Why do you want to be a nice guy?
Because my realtors charge me 1%, not 6%. So I'm getting something out of it as well.
I don't know why your realtor's charging you 6% to be.
Well, you talked about what do you mean?
Because the typical going rate for realtors was 5%.
Maybe it was 5%.
You split it in half, 2.5, 2.5 between the buyer and the seller.
Did that change because the market's so crazy right now?
I don't know, but it's not like they're doing more work because there's reduced inventory. That's why the market's crazy right now, because of the reduced inventory. So it's not like your realtor's selling 10 houses right now.
Yeah.
Yours might be the only one they're selling.
Anyway, I'm getting something out of it. But then I always question that, like, shouldn't you just do nice things because it's nice to do and not expect something in return?
Yeah, but I'm saying, is that the karma in it, right? Are you expecting something in return?
No, I think it's the opposite. Like, I think if I do something bad, I think...
But you asking for market value for your home is not something bad. I think that you're looking at it as something bad.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows the true value of the home right now because people are paying all kinds of monies. That's what I was saying. So you can list it. Your home is only worth, or anything is only worth what somebody else is willing to pay for it.
Sure.
And what I'm saying is that in this market right now, nobody really knows what their house is worth, right? Zillow can say your house is worth $500,000, but if Nancy and Ed are coming down from New York and they see that I only
keep picking on Nancy?
Huh? Well, probably because you said Nancy first, so it's already
pick a different name
subconsciously in my head. All right, so
Tina.
Karen. How about Karen? Right, Karen and Ed are moving down from
real
New York.
Original name.
They love the taxes down
Karen.
here, and they're like, "Oh, $500,000. My house was $1 million up there. I'll pay $600,000 for yours, so I don't have to fight with anyone." That's the market value of your house. So then your family friends, you go say, "Hey, look, I got an offer from Karen and Ed for $600,000. I would rather sell you the house because I like you. Can you match the $600,000?" And you're still doing something nice for them, and you're letting the market dictate what the value of your home is.
Yeah. I don't know, Dave. I got nothing for you on that.
But hey,
maybe it'll fall through. I have no idea.
I hope it doesn't fall through, right?
I think there's also like, I just want to be done with it, and for me, like, there's peace of mind, and
maybe
the home's going to good
maybe
people.
That's worth the 10-20% you would have gotten if it hit the market.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure you were thinking about all of the different possibilities.
Yeah. You made me aware. Yeah, you made me feel like an idiot. That's what you did.
I did not make you feel.
What you're usually good for. What are you doing the rest of the night?
I will go home. My kids will probably already be close to in bed. So I will probably at this point skip dinner.
Why?
Maybe just have some ice cream.
Oh my God, Dave.
We'll see how tired my wife is. Maybe we'll watch a show or something. And I got to be at work early tomorrow and work out before work. So I'll probably be in bed before 9. Maybe we'll get a...
Which show do you guys like to watch?
She watches a show called The Outlander, which I end up watching with her. It's like some romantic time travel thing. I don't know. There's a lot of boobies in it. So
That's great. Was it HBO or something?
That's on Stars, but it's on Netflix, I guess. So it's like 5 seasons. There's like 20 episodes per season.
Do you remember that time that you called Bonnie and I like engaged in an argument with her about our supervisor's like O2 level? And I was trying to explain, what does she do for a living?
She's a respiratory therapist.
Right. So this is literally what she does for a living.
Right.
And I was trying to explain to her how she was wrong.
Well, she was wrong. Not in that. She was wrong because that our supervisor was walking around and completely fine, right?
Right, yeah. We were looking at it playing out.
Right. So it's like, obviously it can't be that bad if he's still alive right now. 'Cause she was making it sound like he should be in the hospital right now, right? Like his O2 was in the 80s or something.
Yeah, heavy smoker, right? Like long-time smoker.
But I guess his body's just adapted to it.
That's what I was saying. I was like, I'm pretty sure his body's just adapted to deal with less levels of oxygen.
Right.
She wasn't too happy about that. Sorry, Bonnie.
I'm sure his...
Do you think Bonnie will listen to this?
I don't know.
I don't. My wife doesn't listen to these.
She doesn't?
No.
Well, that's not very supportive.
I wouldn't expect her to watch. You know, they're pretty long.
Maybe she might learn something, right?
She lives with me, Dave.
If you learn something, share something, right?
Yeah, I know, but can you imagine what it's like to live with me? I mean,
Can I imagine what it's like to live with you?
Yeah.
No, I lose.
Why?
I love you. I'll talk to you all day. I would imagine you're very OCD, kind of too type A for me at home. Like
Yeah, you're probably pretty accurate about that.
Right,
OCD,
you're
I don't
talking
know.
about how often you vacuum and
I don't
get
vacuum
on your
that
wife
much.
about cleaning the house, and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, listen, her and I had a conversation when the second kid was born that basically like she would take more of the kid duties and I would take more of the financial, clean the house, all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Seems to be working very well. You know, you got to adapt and come up with different roles.
Right.
I'm a big believer in like roles within the home. It works for us.
Yeah.
Not like gender roles, not like, hey, you're the woman, so you should.
Right.
But I'm not a big fan of like, oh, everybody just pitch in and kind of help out.
You don't want things to be unexpected, right?
Yeah.
So if she's expecting you to do something, you're expecting her to do something.
Yeah,
and it's
correct.
better, right? You can't read each other's minds.
No. It's going to be interesting when we go to live with my parents.
That's going to be pretty bad for you. And
I don't think so. My parents are normal people.
yeah, for you. Your
Yes.
wife, on top of the stress of dealing with your profession and 2 young children,
True.
living with her in-laws is going to be, I'm telling you, within 2 months, she's going to say, you need to find a house now. Like, because I did it, right?
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
We were living in the city, had a pipe burst.
With Bonnie's in-laws?
No, with my, so Bonnie
okay.
was living with my parents. And we decided, it was an old house. We ended up taking the wall down, like to fix the pipe. So we're like, you know what? We're already moved in with the parents while we're half-assed, redoing this bathroom, and
Yeah.
might as well just sell the house and move, because we were, thinking of doing that anyway. So we ended up living with my parents for like 6 months.
That's what we're planning on, 6 months.
And that was definitely took its toll on our relationship, and rightfully so. I mean, right? How would you feel living with her parents for an extended period of time?
I like her parents, so I don't.
Living in this, you
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty easygoing. Like, I don't know that I would. Ann and Bob, they're nice people, Like, I don't know. They have no pets.
so like, I don't know, your wife's in bed, you're like, you know what? I really just want to eat a pint of ice cream on my couch in my boxers
Yeah, well, they would
today.
finish basement, so I'll do it down in the basement. You're not going to get me
You
on
just got an
that.
answer for everything. You
That's-
don't think your life would be affected at all?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Living with your in-laws for an extended period of time, and it wouldn't have a emotional drag on you or anything?
That's not what I'm saying. But it wouldn't get to the point where I'm like tapping out. You know what I mean? I'm like, take me out. I can't do this anymore. I don't think so. I don't know. That's asking me to predict the future. I don't know. But my in-laws are very nice.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We're going to find out. I'm going to call you in 2 months and be like, well, found a house, Dave.
So happy to call me. You coming back to Delaware, or you staying in Jersey?
Just stay in Jersey. I love paying $12,000 a year in property taxes.
12,000.
Probably like with the next house we get. I mean,
Jeff drives me nuts, right?
why?
Because he's always looking at real estate, but he always like, I got a 3-year plan. Gotta wait till the kids get out of God. I'm like, well, what are you looking at real estate now for?
You know, Jeff showed up to jiu-jitsu.
I heard.
Yeah.
Let me finish the story.
Okay.
So I come over this morning. He's like, yo, look at this house. It's in Mullica Hill.
Yeah.
All right.
Probably like 14,000.
It's only like $450,000 or something. He's like, well, the property tax is only $8,600. I'm like, one, that's 4 times what you're paying now. 2, that can't be right?
No, there's no
Because
way. They
I
would
know
have to
you're
be
talking about how much yours are, and you're not as ritzy as Mullica Hill,
no,
right?
not at all.
So I'm like, you better double check this.
Especially at a $450,000 home in Mullica Hills, got to be at least 12, maybe 11. There's no way it's 8,600 unless there's something up with it. Like,
Jeff is easily swayed by like the shiny things, right? So this house had a pool, and he was like,
Ooh.
oh yeah.
do you guys have a pool?
My dad does.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because that's on that could be potentially on the checklist. Getting a pool. My wife wants a house where, like, all the kids enjoy coming over. You know what I mean? Like, that's the house she wants to have.
Mm-hmm. So you're gonna end up building your own house.
I want to do that, but I don't know. The price of lumber and all that kind of stuff is so ridiculous right now. I think
I just saw it might have peaked, right?
okay,
I heard
cool
some
story.
stuff like there's like ships over on the West Coast waiting to unload, crap like that. They've been backlogged because there's not enough people working at the ports. California messing everything up. Maybe.
I heard they don't have enough, whatever the buildings are called that, like, take the tree and make it into lumber.
Sawmill?
Yeah, sawmill. So, like, when all the interest rates went super low, all these people wanted to build homes, right? So that's what happened. And then they basically ran out of lumber. Not ran out, but, like, nobody had built houses at that kind of rate before. So then they went.
Demand went up. Supply and demand.
Correct. Demand went so high they didn't even have the facilities anymore.
And supply was low because of people with COVID and
Correct.
cutting everything down. Right. It's just a recipe for disaster.
I saw 2023 is when it'll go back to like pre-COVID numbers.
That long for lumber?
2022, I heard, is when it'll start coming back.
We got a new mattress a couple months ago.
What kind you get?
We went with Serta Eye Comfort.
It's
like
silly. We went with purple.
Well, we had a Lisa, which is like the purple competitor. We only had it for like 3 years, and it wasn't enough support.
I've never heard of Lisa.
But anyway, so we get this new mattress, right? And we can still see there's kind of like divots where you're sleeping at night. I'm like, this is a brand new mattress, so it's got to be the box spring, right? Well, she's like, I want new box springs. It's messing up my back. I'm like, what? It's like, I'm not buying brand new box springs. Box springs are only 3 years old. I said, I'll just go get a piece of plywood. Well, I go to Lowe's.
Paid $18 for it.
18? The generic like builder grade plywood was like $53.
Oh my god!
For a 4x8 sheet, and the sanded thick like nice plywood was like $83 for one 4x8 sheet of plywood. And I was like, absolutely not. So we're gonna have to deal with the divots until something changes here.
Yeah,
we'll find. Maybe I will buy new box springs. I don't know.
Yeah,
if you think it's really messing up your back that badly.
You guys have a king?
Yeah,
we have a queen.
Talking about inflation.
Mattresses or wood? Just
in general. This pandemic and all this money is caused, right? I mean, wood's a crazy inflation. I mean, it's like 6,000%.
Yeah, gas in Jersey is like $3.10 right now, which actually isn't like terrible.
Don't say that. What was it this time last year?
I have no idea.
$2.10?
I don't know. Was it? Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. But it was up. It's up $1. Have you looked at your grocery bills? You probably like buy the same thing every time you go to the grocery store, don't you?
Yeah, I eat the same thing pretty much.
Look at your grocery bills this year versus the same time last year.
I'll have to ask Abby. She does that.
Does she?
Yeah.
I'm touching this cord.
You are, I know, and I'm just going
to... but yeah, I think grocery costs are like up 10 to 15%.
Why is that?
Food cost, inflation. Factories closed down, demand. I think people are probably just trying to get on the bandwagon and get some profit while they can.
Do you think it's the new norm? Just with all the bailout money and stuff, and
I do think it's somewhat. What was the Fed keeps saying? Transitory. It's a short-term inflation, but some things will stick around, right?
Yeah.
Like my truck that I bought 3 years ago is worth the same amount that I paid for it 3 years ago. That's nuts.
Oh,
just because there's.
Do you even drive it?
No.
Right. You should sell it.
I should.
Yeah.
But then I don't have a car.
Well, you do.
Then I got to buy a new car.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. That's what I'm saying. Either buy a new car or a used car right now. The prices are through the roof.
Yeah, we bought Abby's SUV like just before all that stuff happened. So that has since been paid off. But
I hope this is not long term. I think it's just a product of one, they pumped out a lot of money and people were able to save a lot. Just think about how much less with the pandemic you saved last year than now. All right, let's go on vacation. Let's spend this. Let's do that project on the house. Which increases demand, which increases cost. So I think once people go back to the American way of spending and all they have, it'll probably come back down a little bit, certain aspects.
We were going to get our cabinets painted before we were going to, sell the house. Before we even thought about selling the house, and the guy came out, like local guy, but it was like literally 2.5 times the normal price because he can charge that because they're so busy because everybody's doing home projects and all this kind of stuff that he was like, yeah, here's $6,000 quote for
the dangers of just handing out money.
It's true. We just got something in the mail. I guess they're doing something where they're giving what's the word I'm looking for?
The tax credits for the kids.
Yep. You get half of it up front.
Yeah, they increased the tax credit up to $3,600. Yeah, depending on the age of your kid. Yep.
Yeah. So what's that mean? So we'll get
So you got 2 kids.
Mm-hmm.
When did you have your kid?
March.
Did you file your taxes after you had the kid?
Yes. I don't know.
You might want to double check that.
I will.
Because you'll have to go on. You can go on the IRS's website and change your dependents. So essentially. Or you can elect to not have.
Yeah, or just get it next, like when I go to file my
taxes. Your taxes, right? So essentially, you're going to be able to get a payment every month for the next 6 months. depending on how many kids you have. So you have 2 kids under, so it's like $300 per kid because your kids are under 6. So you can get $600 per month.
What?
Every 15th of the month from July through December. Or you can take the full $3,600 on your taxes when you file next year.
What are you going to do?
I'm going to take the money and I'm going to invest it.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
You're going to give me money that I can earn interest on. Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Give me some generic advice for cops in investing.
Low cost mutual funds.
I don't know what that means.
So a mutual fund is basically a group of stocks bundled together. Somebody else manages it and they charge you a fee to manage it. So when I say low cost, I mean, don't pay an exorbitant amount of money for someone else to manage it. Go to like I use Vanguard because they're typically low cost. So on a generic, like index fund that just tracks the total market, will charge you like $4 for every $10,000 you have invested. It's pretty low cost, almost nothing.
Yeah.
And those funds typically return anywhere from 8 to 12% conservatively per year. And in crazy years like we've had, can be even more. So a mutual fund, you let someone else pick the stocks, pick the allocations, the percentages. You just throw the money at it every month and let interest compound and grow. You can set it and forget it, essentially. Not to steal words from the rotisserie guy, the old infomercial. But
who was that?
I don't know. It's the chicken infomercial, the rotisserie thing. Set it and forget it.
Who was the guy who got caught with some prostitute and the prostitute like bit his tongue off or something?
The OxyClean guy?
No, he died. That was Billy Mays.
Billy Mays, yeah.
How dare you not know who that is? No, it was the, I don't know.
But anyways, don't get caught up day trading. Just, hey, every month I got a couple extra dollars, move it into a fund that is going to earn interest, right? Because so many people just have money sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing.
Yeah.
With inflation, you're actually losing money.
Right.
That's my best advice.
Roth IRA and like a 457B?
So I wish I started my Roth earlier. Biggest regret that I have. 457, the general rule of thumb is to, a 457 is basically a government equivalent of a 401k.
Yeah.
The general rule of thumb with investing in retirement savings is do the match that your employer is going to give you. Like, we don't get any match because we have a pension.
Yeah.
But when I was working in the banking world, they matched up to 6%. So do the match and then contribute to the rest of the Roth IRA. There's income requirements. Most people are under those income requirements where you can contribute up to $6,000 per year on a Roth IRA.
Yep. And
then once you hit a certain age, like 50, you contribute $7,000.
Yeah.
If you start early in your career, very young on, with a Roth, you can have at a conservative 10%, 8 to 10%, $1.5 million to $2 million at retirement, and that's tax free.
Yeah. Yeah, it's already been taxed.
Yep. Your money grows tax free. And people don't, I think everyone's in agreement, right? Looking at the state of the country and the political climate, taxes are going up, right? You're going to be paying more taxes. So I think there's a bigger benefit to the tax advantages with a Roth account versus a 457. If your employer is going to give you free money, take the free money.
Sure.
The 457 or the 401k, you're reducing your tax burden now and deferring it to later.
Would it be safe to say, like, if you can max out your Roth IRA, go ahead and do that?
Yep.
And
contribute some money to your 457 to decrease your tax burden now. Absolutely. But everyone's different, right? Talk to at most people. We have a financial planner with the county, right? Or the FOP uses someone. Talk to somebody, figure out what's best for your plans of your future. But Rob McGuire, I think, Squishy, he was on here talking about finances. And
Squishy, he's in Montana right now.
I saw him on the social media.
The old social media. I don't like social media, man.
I don't either. I got rid of the Facebook last year. Whew. I just have the Instagram so I can see the cool
I only got
my
social media because of the Handbook podcast, and they're doing something. They're messing with me, Instagram and Facebook, because they just have a system to where it's so easy to just scroll and click on people's stories and you get drawn into it. And it's like, And then, a half hour goes by. You're like, what the heck?
I must have looked at the same thing happens to me, right? I don't have the Facebook anymore, but I got the Instagram. But I must have looked at a workout video or something, like a CrossFit video. Well, now all these things for like these women, like, working out in their basement and stuff, throwing stuff around, come up. I'm like, I don't really care about all this. But I guess one time I looked at it, so the algorithm said, oh, this is what he likes. Keep showing it to him. I'm like, show me something else. Get me back to the cooking stuff. You know what I mean? Show me that cheeseburger with the cheese hanging off the side.
My stuff's all jiu-jitsu and
of course,
basically police stuff for the most part.
There's almost no police stuff on mine. I love it. I do get the some of the political stuff that comes up. I don't know why.
Yeah, I really try not to. It's amazing some of the stuff people will post on social media, though.
Oh my God!
Like commenting on stuff and like, what are you doing? Just write it in a journal if you really want to write it down.
I stay away from it. He said that the only reason I got the one is so my wife always posts the cute pictures of the kids. So
I was just gonna say, I was gonna ask if Bonnie has anything. I know she does because I've seen pictures of the kids and stuff.
She's got the Facebook and the Insta.
Yeah, my sister posts a lot of stuff on social media with the kids.
It's probably
and stuff.
terrible. We probably should do that.
Awful idea.
Post pictures of your kids.
Nope.
The world to see and steal.
It's like, hey, we're going on vacation. Okay.
Burglary.
Absolutely. Happens all the time. How many of these episodes have you listened to? Just be honest.
How many have you had?
You will be 15, I think. 14 or 15.
I've listened to at least half, probably.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yeah.
Okay. So you know how I usually politely end every show?
Okay, we're done.
No, I always ask people like, hey, what do you want people to take away from this? We talked about a lot of topics, but I'm curious, like, if you can have
no structure to this. I'm not sure.
I liked it though. I liked the no structure.
What do I think people should take away? I'm doing the old. What's my name?
Yeah. Hey, sir, can I have your name and date of birth? My name?
My name?
Do you want my date of birth? No. No, I don't.
Since we were kind of talking about the financial stuff, is come up with a plan. Like, just do some research. The internet's a wonderful thing. You can learn anything. Like, you can teach yourself anything. And money is something that we overlook and complain about so much as police officers. And you can really make your own money and set yourself up. Just talk to somebody who knows more than you. That's not me. Mm-hmm. That's just something I've taught myself, and talk to people who know more. Yeah. I'll be happy to answer your questions and help you with math and tell you about some of the things you can do. But I'm certainly not a certified financial planner. I have a degree in culinary arts, and I'm a cop. But I can.
You are unique.
I can use a calculator.
Yeah.
And I can look at historical averages and things like that. So, and I have resources that I talk to. So talk to people who know more and start planning for your future, right? People are like, oh man, pension is great. Go to 55 and you do the job for 10 years. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it.
Now I know why it's a 20-year retirement, right? Because you're 55 and then you're dead at 66. What's the point of planning where if you plan for your finances early in your career and you get hired young, you can have a decent retirement. So, and you hear a lot about complaining about other agencies and what they make, and as much as I complain to my FOP rep who sits close to me about money, at the end of the day, I don't have the energy to fight that battle. I let them fight that battle, and I'll worry about myself and my finances the way that I can. So
yeah.
Get your money in order. That's my advice to people.
Good advice, Dave. All right, buddy.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
You got it.
See you.